Hello, and today we are talking about all things geeky.
Welcome to the Vault Divers, number one Geek Vault podcast.
One of the Geek Vault podcast.
Number one Geek Vault podcast.
You can find us on www.geekvault.co.uk, where we will, sell all that geeky goodness, pop culture merchandise, including Star Wars, Mandalorian stuff.
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to talk about today.
Exactly.
We're halfway through the second season now. We thought it would be a good point to have a catch-up, look at the episodes, and say what we think.
Yeah.
Are we saying this is halfway? There's only going to be 8 episodes?
I mean, that's what they've announced so far, so yeah.
Sure, that's the official episode length.
Should we
Series length.
introduce ourselves
we
first
should
as well?
probably introduce ourselves.
For those who haven't heard from us before,
For those who don't already know, whoever
where have
they
you been?
are,
it's
You're
Geek Vault,
here
number
with-
one podcast.
exactly, number one Geek Vault podcast. It was very specific.
The only Geek Vault podcast.
No, the number one.
Number one.
Anyway, I'm Scott,
I'm Alex.
I'm Bradley.
and you're joining us today,
As we dive
stranger
into the vaults of our minds and memories
and geekiness.
And you
for our love of pop culture and Star Wars.
pulling open that door of knowledge.
Yanking
Or-
open that vault door of knowledge.
Well,
and
not so
geekiness.
much knowledge in this case. Maybe. We'll find out.
I think we're pretty knowledgeable in regards to Star Wars.
I mean, yeah.
Well, I don't know, Brett. At the start, you were unsure as to what we were actually recording, like the
No, I
episodes.
knew we were watching.
You knew it was the
talking about
Mandalorian, but you didn't know.
My problem is I don't have a chronological mind. I just kind of go,
Don't have that
This
chronological
happened.
everything
mind.
exists all at once, simultaneously. I'm like, oh,
Damn, you gonna tell us what happened next?
Yeah.
let's
See, it's the
let me
future
tell you.
already. What's going to happen?
I'm experiencing it
Admiral
all at the
Thrawn,
same.
He will be introduced at some point.
See, I really wanted Admiral Thrawn to be introduced, but we'll get onto that.
I'm telling you, he is.
I mean, I think that's
all at
what
once.
Moff Gideon's kind of like
Based on.
there to replace, isn't he?
Yeah, possibly.
Because I mean, he's
Well-
in. Actually, yeah, you've seen Rebels.
I've seen Star Wars Rebels.
We haven't seen.
Oh,
I haven't seen Rebels.
I've watched maybe first 2 seasons or 2 seasons.
yeah.
So I don't know
So I got a little bit.
what Admiral Thrawn had been up to then.
Okay.
I don't know how that would work.
Well, it could work, but it all depends on where they decide to go after the Rebel story, because it's kind of, it leaves you on a bit of a hanger.
Actually,
to
do we know-
where some of the characters are and where they're going, and the fact that
Wait, Rebels is before Episode 4?
yes,
Okay.
yeah, because Captain
Yeah, I was
Rex
just
is
trying to remember.
introduced. We should probably warn, but spoilers for.
Oh, yeah.
We
This-
always mess up. We always mess up.
Anyway, if you didn't know, there's going to be a lot of
Yeah.
Star Wars spoilers, particularly for The Mandalorian Season 2, Episodes 1 to 4.
And if you don't know this stuff, where have you been? But Star Wars Rebels leaves it with these characters going in different directions. And
Open-ended. I mean,
Ahsoka
first,
disappears off, and we know
first
she's going to
spoiler,
be the Mandalorian. So
we should say Ahsoka Tano has been mentioned, so we know they're building it. I reckon Dave Filoni is probably wanting to get a live-action Admiral Thrawn out there,
who doesn't? I think fans would.
but I do think Moff Gideon is sort of like that stepping stone for them.
So leading on to, because he's got to answer to a higher power, surely, and
Yeah.
everything he's doing
Exactly.
is for a bigger cause.
And after
Long live the Empire.
Rise of Skywalker, I like. It's interesting. I wonder if they're gonna
Retcon.
try. Well, not retcon. I wonder if they're really trying to like edge around and into, because obviously there are things now revealed that will work into, Rise of
bigger Star Wars-
Skywalker.
yeah, the
It's
bigger
just,
Star
are
Wars
they going to be like, oh, the Emperor's in the background, and like I'm like, is this some sort of
Just a
sleeper
little-
cell?
Little old man in a fucking
Back to tank.
sneaking past in the background. Like,
All I'm trying to say is like, are they trying to use this Mandalorian series, at least now, to like make the sequels good.
Yeah, to explain
Like,
some of the
they're like-
elements and go.
Yeah,
"Of course it
exactly. In
works,
some
because
way,
this is the backstory.
You know,
of how
'cause,
we
like,
get to those points.
there are people who don't necessarily like the prequels. They're wrong, but
Yeah,
even people who don't like the prequels will then watch something like the Clone Wars and they're like, oh, well, actually, this is really cool. This makes things make a lot of sense. It all, it helps, it enriches the entire story.
Yeah, it builds
I'm
the
like,
universe
is
up.
this trying to enrich the sequels? Even though there is like a 30-year gap still, or 20-year gap.
yeah, because
yeah.
this is set straight after Return of the Jedi. Well, say straight after Return of the Jedi.
I think
but
it's
set
5
after
years.
Return of the Jedi. So, yeah, it's that in-between period of the original trilogy that everyone loves and the sequels. And if you don't like the prequels, come at us. We've got great arguments as to
smack you
why
down.
they are great. And maybe we'll cover that one time.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you a little leeway on the Attack of the Clones, but there's some good stuff in there still.
For prequels,
Of course.
but
Exactly.
But then,
I mean, Phantom Menace is great, and anyone who steps up and be like, that's the worst of all, fuck you.
yeah, come at us. We'll
you're wrong.
Yeah,
Pod race. One word, pod race.
yeah. Anything, Clone Wars TV
Two
series,
words,
the
pit
animated
bots.
show, both the cartoon,
Pit droids.
Duel of the Fates. That's 4 words, so I messed up.
Qui-Gon Jinn, Darth Maul.
Darth Maul. Anyway, this isn't about the Phantom Menace as much as I'd like it to be.
3 words, Qui-Gon.
Should we try and
Yeah, we diverge.
go through the first episode at first?
Yeah.
Strong Combat, the Marshal.
Marshall.
The Marshal.
Yeah.
Because obviously
Strong name.
last season they ended it quite openly with you have to go find this baby's people.
This ancient warrior race
You must
known
find
as the Jedi.
Yeah. The Jedi, ancient sorcerers, the Jedi. They were enemies of the great Mandalore.
Oh,
And now we know.
only one of them was.
Well, the-
Maybe one.
Yeah, and then they, and if you know the series, then they align themselves sort of with the Jedi.
And the Dark Saber. The first Jedi Mandalorian. Yeah, so the first episode is a return to Tatooine.
Tatooine.
Classic old
Everyone loves
fan
Tatooine.
service. I mean, first we see him go up to some place. I don't know the planet, but he sees that like underground Gamorrean wrestling fighting kill ring.
Yeah.
Yeah. I quite liked that. That was cool.
Yeah.
See the Gamorreans fighting it
Apparently, the
out.
guy he reaches apparently at least voiced by John Leguizamo.
John Leguizamo.
Leguizamo. I think it's John Leguizamo.
I'm sorry, John, if we got that wrong. Don't bet you'll listen to this, but maybe one day.
No, this is number 1.
Someone show it to number 1 gigabyte. Someone show it to him. But yeah, he's the whatever you Cyclops.
Cycloptic, yeah.
Cyclopean.
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 Alien.
I'm sure I'm sure that race has a name at this point, but yeah, he's the like mob boss guy who,
Is after
tells
that
him-
Sweet, sweet Beskar.
exactly, he's after that sweet Beskar. It's a good little opening scene, seeing Baby Yoda like close his little
Yeah, be like, oh,
Yeah,
shit,
stuff's about to go down. And for those that don't know, Beskar is what Mandalorian is armored in.
exactly.
And it's a very rich
And then
material.
he reveals there's a Mandalorian on a Tatooine.
Which is impossible. 'cause
Exactly, he's
He's
already
been to
been there.
Tatooine. He knows Tatooine. He's been there many times.
Exactly, yeah.
Been to Tatooine.
But it was the new city of Pelgo.
The mining settlement. No, it's not even a mining settlement, is it? It's some sort of settlement.
I think that you said it
Outside
used
of
to be a
Mos
mining,
Eisley.
but obviously, famously, you have Mos Eisley and Mos Espa,
We revisit Mos Eisley
and now
again.
it's Mos Pelgo. Mos Pelgos.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if it was mentioned before in the books, the Aftermath series, because
We haven't read. Well, I haven't read those.
no, I
I'm
haven't
not
read
clued
them
up
either.
at all.
Yeah.
What kind of Star Wars fans are we?
Ones who don't want to read Disney DLC, tell you that much.
Bring it back to the original content.
But yeah, so they go there, and then you meet
The Marshal.
the Marshal,
Marshal.
This Mandalorian.
who wearing
Well,
Boba Fett's
yeah.
armor.
Well, straight away, it's silhouetted, and he kind of looks a bit like, what the? The armor's too big. He just looks a bit silly. It's kind of one of those. I like the meme that you see on the internet where you buy a costume online and the photo looks great, but when you actually put it on, it doesn't look that good.
Yeah.
That was pretty much summed up in this
I mean,
guy
for me,
wearing Boba Fett's
It
armor.
was very they designed him with the idea of an iconic silhouette.
Yeah,
because it's like it's
got
I
a
mean, you can tell the way he pulls up. It's
Yeah.
very Western, heavily
Yeah.
inspired.
Completely.
You know, it's the marshal, it's the saloon door. He walks in like, town ain't big enough for the two of us.
Classic westerns, yeah.
And it's played by, you know, the great Timothy Oliphant, one of my, you know, he's a cool dude.
He's cool.
Yeah,
He looks great in
And
it.
it's funny because he's, you know, he's known for playing sheriffs and marshals in Deadwood and Justified, and even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, he plays the
An actor who's playing.
Exactly, he's an actor who's playing some sort of sheriff in Leonardo DiCaprio's like mini TV show where he first arrives.
yeah. It felt very much like that same vibe he was bringing there.
Yeah, and they bring back another classic Star Wars alien character. Well, the look, the race. I should say, I don't even know what the race's name is. Were they even shown in Return of the Jedi? Because it's definitely from Jabba's palace.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
bartender.
yeah, the bartender guy.
Definitely probably most known for the action figure that came out after. But that was cool just to see some sort of the original.
Exactly, more
aliens
alien
coming back in,
races.
because
That's
that's,
something
again,
I've
something-
appreciated from Mandalorian specifically.
Yeah, because the sequels
like
don't
in
do
the
that.
in the first season, what's his the prison episode, the devil. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the characters that, you know, the race you originally see in A New Hope, and it was like I was always like, that's kind of funny and interesting one. And then he's in the first season, and he's fire resistance, makes sense.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that they sort of bring back these.
Older.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
genre
Just you know, and general concept stuff.
Yeah. 'Cause-
Yeah.
But
I mean, it's
They're
like
great
that
decisions.
discussion with a wrestling match. It's that thing of these characters kind of just stand around a lot of the time.
it gives like a bigger world.
Perform action and such.
Yeah,
and then
they're just
take
background
them
characters.
being-
Yeah.
They actually have
Because
roles.
Yeah, within the universe. And again,
Exactly.
like I said, the sequels, one of my problems is they just kept inventing new alien races, it felt. They never really showed
Yeah,
any of the older ones.
which obviously,
Which are understandable,
Yeah.
but you kind of want
But
that
also at the
universe
same
to
time,
exist
like-
still.
the alien races they invented were outside of the core group. Like, it was just mainly like Canto Bight, those scenes, whereas like they were the background characters just to look funny.
Yeah.
It wasn't like you see them and they're members of the Resistance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
They're
like all
taking the
these
role.
human characters are the Resistance,
Yeah.
except for Nine Nub and Admiral Akbar,
Who, well,
who then
Rip.
get blown up.
yeah,
Ripples.
unceremonious death, just out like it's like, come on,
For the fun of it.
just for
you
the
know.
hell of it, because you know it's a wrap.
Yeah.
As one of the actor was very upset about that scene.
As we all are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Marshal's wearing none other than Boba Fett's armor.
yeah. And that, again, is exciting
Looking
because
a bit more fucked up than previous.
Yeah.
obviously,
yeah, it's worn
because-
down. It's again what I
pretty-
liked,
yeah, it's
because
pretty,
you see it and you go, wait a minute, could that be? And then he comes closer and you see the little insignia, the colours, although they're worn
Boba
away.
Fett's a white guy?
Yeah, that's the thing. Initially, I was like, oh, I don't know why, but I was like, oh, it is Boba Fett. And then he takes off his helmet. I was like, what? They made Boba Fett white?
This ain't no Tamara Morrison.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then I was like,
Yeah.
no, I got this armor. It's like, okay.
He bought it from some Jawas.
Jawas filling out
Which,
my
yeah. But it's interesting, and what I appreciate as well, again, the character that he's playing, Cobb Vanth, is from a Disney Aftermath book series, which was basically explaining what happened after Return of the Jedi. And in it, there's like a few chapters which talk about Cobb Vanth, who on Tatooine bought some Mandalorian armor from the Jawas, heavily implied that it's Boba Fett's, but never mentioned.
Yeah.
And then he like fights off a mining company,
Which is all
fake
what
miners.
happens in this,
So
that's
yeah,
great.
exactly. So it's nice to see
Yeah.
that they've
tying into
yeah,
extra material.
exactly. Like it's not necessarily Legends material, but it's at least something that's like, you know, Disney have done it themselves, and now they've brought that into the forefront and
manifest.
made it real. And it's like, okay, there's a bit of disparagences from the book stories in this story, but it's like that's where you can come in and be like, well, this is canon. That's sort of the legendary tale of it.
Yeah,
And yeah, it was just cool that, you know, he was playing a character who previously existed, which was potentially, you know, the setup for what was going to be coming, because you know, before that, all we've really had is Saw Gerrera. I think he's the only one who's really crossed the mediums.
Yeah, because he was introduced in Rogue One, and then he was fleshed out.
At least into like live action.
No, he came in the Clone Wars. Yeah, that's true. And he looks at it. He's younger, a lot different. And then it was
meets up with Ahsoka, doesn't it, at some point?
And then brings him back in the Rebels, across the games. The Fallen Jedi is in that.
So he was sort of like the first one, especially to go into live action. Again, Admiral Thrawn is in the Rebels, so he was drawn out of, you know, Legends and Legacy stuff, which is also cool. But like to actually see character into, you know, I didn't know much about Cobb Vanth before this all happened, but to know that is what they did is pretty cool.
Yeah, it's nice.
I appreciate
it, especially after Disney went right. Everything that came before with Lucasfilm when we bought it. That's
nothing. We don't care about
rubbish. Forget about it. We're creating our own stuff, and now I feel like they're starting to understand Star Wars a bit better and what the fans are after, and actually kind of revisiting stuff and bringing it back and going, okay, we can take this and just slowly reintroducing it back into.
Yeah, well, I think after the sequels didn't perform the way they wanted them to. Yeah. Like, obviously, the sequels did still make a lot of money. They were all, like, breaking $1 billion, which is a shit ton. But I think they're
for it.
Yeah.
They're at least 50-50 hated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the further and further people are getting away from these movies, the more they're going down in everyone's eyes.
Yeah.
You know, so I think they, you know, obviously, when you create something, you want it to sort of be loved and well received. And okay, Disney might just have a mind for money, but even then, they've got to be at least smart enough to be like, oh, people don't actually love these films, so it's not going to make us money in the long run. Like, it made us a lot of money now, but it's no original Star Wars, which has, you know, created this entire universe and carried on for 40, 50 years. Yeah. And, you know, so I think maybe they realise that what they've created isn't so beloved, and now they've let people like Dave Filoni
get involved,
and even Jon Favreau, who has, you know, he helped set up the Marvel universe, so he has a good grip on, like, at least
having
juggling, containing, creating a combined
franchise where Dave Filoni has the knowledge, a huge library of knowledge in his mind of how Star Wars universe exists and the characters and how they're all involved and the lore behind it. So mashing those two together is great.
It's a good. I think they've done really well so far, and hopefully they can use them and their knowledge to sort of control the Star Wars live universe and create any future movies and TV series. I hope they have some serious involvement there.
Yeah, I think it's well. Yeah, Dave Filoni, I think, is getting brought into the bigger films, etc. now, especially after proving himself with.
He's going to be the Stan Lee character. He's appearing in the
all the films. But
he's like, I'm the X-Wing pilot.
I'm here. Just what's the name? Wolf.
Yeah, Trapper Wolf. I think. Yeah, Trapper Wolf. Cool name. I'd choose that for myself.
Cool name.
I'm Trapper Wolf.
If I was back in this, if I got to be in the Star Wars universe, I want something cool like that.
I used to trap wolves back in the day.
But
yeah. And then,
carrying on, you then see this monster.
Yeah, they have to save the village.
And a bargain is struck as to how the Mandalorian has to have the armor back from Boba Fett, because it doesn't belong to the Marshal's character. It's the way. It's a history. It's like the armor's passed down, etc. As we know from the previous series. So he needs that armor back. A deal is struck, and
they're going to save the village from a great
story, along with all the visual aesthetics of being like, stranger walks into town, and the gunslinger is asked by the town for help.
Exactly,
something's happening.
Yeah. And the greater crate dragon, you get to see some awesome Tusken Raider stuff. You get to see what that little spike on the stick helps them do.
That's what I really loved about it. The Tusken Raiders, seeing more of them, because again, they've just been brought in as little side characters, and now their whole lore and life is getting fleshed out through this series, and the fact that their little dog-like creature
Just savages.
shown in the prequels
Exactly, from
is
the
brought
Attack
back
of the
into this,
Clones,
which is
we
great.
get that
all these
back.
things are colliding together and actually
Exactly. It
building
looks
a
like
universe.
Cobb is driving a sort of repurposed
Pod racer
racer engine, which is pretty cool. It's kind of sort of a unique, like, speeder bike design where he's sort of sitting off the side of it like a sidecar flying through. And yeah, and then you get here because it's the greater crate dragon, like, sound is what Obi-Wan creates.
Well, that's what they brought
in
back. That's
A
what I
New
saw,
Hope to like scare off the Tusken Raiders
which
from
was
that.
so cool. I didn't know that.
So it's like,
until I
yeah,
read that
exactly. So
article
it's like,
and saw a side by side comparison of the voice.
exactly. So it's like, it's nice that they have that, and also the skeleton is what you see C-3PO and R2D2 walk past. Like, I think arguably that's probably a smaller one because they've created it so there's now like 2 species of crate dragon: the greater crate dragon, which is like
they fight in this.
the large sort of snake type one, and then there's a smaller sort of 4-armed one, which I believe is seen in Rebels and Clone Wars,
makes sense.
which, you know.
This one's so large.
And then they mentioned
Maybe
that,
it's just
at the end, once it's all defeated, there's the pearl, the crate dragon pearl, which is, again previously mentioned as paying off like people. I think it's the Han Solo mentions using that to pay off debts at some point.
Okay. Another nice detail from this was the Sand People riding in single file to hide their numbers. Again, just a little throwaway line that Obi-Wan says in A New Hope, and they've just brought it in on this show, and that was cool to see.
Yeah, and then at the end, after they're all defeated, they're happy and they're living together, you get a little sneak preview of who's that man? Is
that watching?
Is that Boba Fett?
Tusken Raider? Ooh, Boba Fett.
Exactly.
Well,
it looks like.
To be Boba Fett.
Is it just...
I mean, it could be any of the millions of clones.
Yeah,
I still stand by that it's Boba Fett.
It's gotta be.
Clones
However-
obviously have a sped up
lifespan.
lifespan, so I think any normal clones probably would be dead by then unless they've continued to be made.
I mean,
Well,
Rex is in Return of the Jedi now, officially canon.
He's the bearded guy.
He's the
that you
bearded
see
guy.
at the-
And this is only like.
Old.
Yeah, I'd still say they're
Whereas
older.
This guy still looked obviously younger because he didn't have a big grey bushy beard.
Great big bushy
Big
beard.
bushy beard in a sort of like grey, whereas this guy obviously looks younger.
Yeah,
like
he looks
he's
a bit
fucked
gnarled.
up.
Scarred. Yeah, he's gnarled.
But like he looks.
I mean, I think it'd be like a bit of a piss take if it's not Boba
Yeah, it was,
Fett.
yeah.
And again, as we've talked about with Dave Filoni and like the likes, I don't think they would do the old switcheroo. I think they have Boba Fett's armor there. It's out of it's not swallowed by it's not being digested currently by a Sarlacc pit. Was that Sarlacc eaten by the greater crate dragon then spit up? Who knows?
Did Boba use his jetpack to get out of there?
His broken ass jetpack potentially.
Which again they hit at. Well,
I mean,
when he hits the jetpack, he goes.
People have suggested that because you see the Mandalorian Din Djarin get swallowed by the crate dragon and survive.
Yeah,
he's wearing his Beskar armor.
I was
Admittedly,
confused about it because
Boba Fett is supposed to be wearing Durasteel rather than Beskar, but they might retcon that. However, or they might just go, Durasteel also could survive it. Because it's it's what they put on like ships and stuff. So might, survive the acid of a, Tatooine serpent.
Yeah.
So I think they've suggested heavily enough that it's going to be Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And I think that might have, obviously he's looking for Mandalorians. Whether he'll be seen again later on in this series,
or brought into
yet to be seen, or if it's series 3. But like, I think that sort of set up the hints of like, he's a clone and all this stuff. Is sort of
they're still out there.
led to this thing, and like everyone kind of wants more from Boba Fett than just he fell into the Sarlacc pit and died.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, then he escaped. Yeah.
So I think overall it was a cool episode.
Yeah, it was cool. I
I loved
also
it.
liked the fact that it was like, there's no such thing as an empty Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
It's like, it is when a crate dragon eats it. It's like,
Oh damn.
fuck.
Yeah,
Like,
that was
shit's
great.
dangerous.
I think it was a strong.
I love seeing the
start to
Jawas
second
again.
season.
Sure, it's good.
Yeah.
Anytime you get to see a Jawa is okay with me.
Yeah. It's like a baby
Suka.
Yoda, but cute.
Jawa's the original Baby Yoda.
Yeah.
Which then leads us on to
Yeah, and they set up the second
episode, The Passenger.
The Passenger.
This one, it's a bit of a filler episode for me.
I mean, it's certainly a filler episode, but it's a good Star Wars episode. I will take it.
I definitely enjoyed it the second time I watched it.
Yeah.
The first time, I think because it had such a strong start to the season, to then follow up with that episode, I was a bit like, oh, you had this momentum. I got excited, and now it's just kind of flatlined a little bit. But what was cool was the creature that we see, the ice spider.
Yeah, the Ralph McQuarrie.
Original,
Mcquarrie.
remember the name right
concept
now.
being brought in. And that was a creature that was supposed to be on Dagobah, that we see the concept of Luke fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Because it's not meant to be an icy creature.
It's like a swampy creature. It was horrendous.
It's just a giant spider. It could
was
be anywhere.
horrific looking.
Yeah, it was quite horrible.
I would not want that.
Yeah, and it's that very the alien-esque moment of like Baby Yoda won't stop eating eggs, and then there's a whole bunch of these eggs
Start hatching.
from like the tree.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Is Baby Yoda
Stone Cold
evil?
Killer.
Yeah.
That poor frog lady's eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought nothing could make me dislike Baby Yoda, but that was definitely trying. I was like, you can't stop eating those eggs.
He's innocent, and but
Like, everyone loves caviar, but like, this is too much, man.
it's just the fact they have that sweet moment where he puts his face up against glass.
Yeah, it's
all
cute.
like,
And he sort of
and you're like, oh my God,
uses
they all
the
come
force
to
or
him.
something to
Or I
like.
thought it was more he had a force energy around him, and the young life sort of sense that and gravitate towards him. And then next
But
thing you know,
they're
he's just
they're
upping
not
those eggs.
they're not alive because they're unseminated eggs at that point.
Yeah.
So technically, he's not eating any living. It's just
eating those ovaries.
Life begins
Exactly.
No.
but they hadn't been conceived yet because there was no insemination. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what the whole point. She needed to get those eggs fertilized.
He was just eating some tasty eggs. But yeah, it was a bit of a filler episode. Dave Filoni's character Trapper Wolf returns, saves him. It was
And that was,
it was
quite cool.
pretty.
That flight scene's
It's
cool.
it still
It's a really
like it
great
looks.
moments.
Yeah, it looks great, but I
really
wouldn't say
cuts the
there's
engines.
necessarily much to say on that episode.
No,
No, it's
probably
really
about it.
just about the Ralph McQuarrie design being finally
Again,
used.
nice to. Yeah, again, I think it was used in
concepts.
Rebels before
Yes.
Clone Wars,
Yeah.
but that it was a slightly, it was a stylized design to those shows, whereas now you can actually see like the full-on
action.
gruesome multiple eyes,
giant thing. Oh,
mouth sucking at the.
just as he's about to get up, and there's like
Just crashes
and you're
down.
just like,
oh my god. There's no hope here.
But yeah,
It's
and
like the mist.
And again, in the first series, the second episode, I believe, is the Jawa egg
Yeah,
getting
and
episode.
it's a
So, they
They've got a
it
formula.
suggests they
They've got
have a format
Yeah.
where it's like opener episode, and then you just sort of ease off and be like, hey, pretty chill, and then it's like ramps back up again,
Which is
and
exactly what they
you're
do.
like
Because
chill again.
that third episode, the heiress,
Yeah, exactly. Once we get to
favorite episode so far of the whole series, season 1 and 2.
he manages to use his broken ass ship to get to the planet Trask, where you see a bunch of
Quarren and
Mon Calamar.
And that was great, just to have a whole planet where all these characters,
I just visual design.
Yeah.
it's
like,
so cool.
The
We're
aesthetic,
fishermen.
the fact that they're all just like fishermen, like that specific one where he like lands on the platform, and it's just that like one,
there.
just there like,
Mon Calamar.
Yeah.
Jump.
And here's the thing,
what do you
it's
expect me to do with this?
does it entirely make sense that they would dress like this? No, but the visual design just makes you go,
Yeah.
Exactly. I also really like their like little, I guess not pub, but like the cantina, and like just the like design, the thought
sheet
behind,
thing,
it's just
Just
exactly.
bring
It's
down
just
that
like,
food,
it's
that
just
funnel.
hanging on.
It's just like an example of being like, this is a planet where it's particularly orientated towards
Exactly. It's
fish
sort
type
of
species, amphibians and so forth. Because there's not really many humans, which I thought was like a nice thing there. Because typically we're always getting episodes where it's just tons of humans and a couple aliens interspersed.
And this was
and
all
this one was
aliens.
like aliens everywhere.
Yeah,
this is an
you're the
alien
minority.
planet.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And again, it was cool that it was a water planet. They've really done that. Prequels, you've got Camino. Sequels, you have the fight where the Death Star has crashed. And you have Gungan, but outside of that, there's not really much water planets explored. Or seen of. So it was cool
I
that...
think it's hard to call the sequel one a water planet.
Yeah, because it's just... It's a sea.
Yeah.
you only find out later on in the sequels that Oh wait, no, are you saying the sequels?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sequel one.
I was thinking the original trilogy
I would
then.
say it's whether it is a sequel.
Yeah, so I jumped between the prequels and the sequels. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was cool. That
You said Death Star was like original trilogy, but yeah, there aren't really sea planets in the
water
original.
planets.
Yeah.
So it's cool
Certainly.
to have that visit because it's more of a grittier version. Camino was nice, sleek looking.
Yeah, exactly. That
This
very.
was gritty fisherman with that great crawler in the sea with the crane. I love the look.
Oh
of
yeah,
that.
the repurposed AT-AT.
Yeah. That was brilliant.
Yeah, apparently it's supposed to be a repurposed AT-AT.
Okay.
Which again is also like a nice nod to the fact that AT-ATs were sort of designed after these like trawler type cranes. But yeah, I loved seeing that. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's that element of it all feels well thought out.
Yeah.
Like it feels real. Like
Yeah,
it
completely.
feels like, hey, you know what? I could get on a ship. I could go to this one planet. It's like, yeah, of course. There's all like fishing and there's a giant docking thing and yeah, it's just the aesthetically, yeah, it was really
aesthetically pleasing and looked great. And that was directed by Bryce Dallas Howard, wasn't it? Ron Howard's daughter.
yes, that episode.
And she absolutely smashed it out of the
Yeah.
ballpark. Because when it gets to introducing Bo-Katan, heiress of Mandalore, voiced by Katie Sackhoff of
Yep.
Battlestar Galactica fame, she plays Starbuck. She also voiced the characters
Exactly
in the animated series of Clone Wars and Rebels.
exactly, which is a nice touch. It's like
great. I love that she's been able to be that character
Full
from start
circle, yeah.
to finish, and now she's in my life, and she's a great choice for it. She looks the part, and she's not, she's used to action sci-fi characters, so she was perfect for this, and it was so badass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The coring up to their old tricks of being evil bastards,
Yeah. Gotta get her
trying to
hands on that
steal
Beskar.
the
Everyone
Beskar
knows
and the Beskar and kill the baby
The
Yoda.
fact that it's Beskar. It's
Oh,
it's
yeah, it's
shiny
just
metal,
shiny. Yeah, it
and
looks
it's
fancy.
Mandalorian armor.
Might as well write
and
this is
well,
Beskar on
It's
it.
like you should just paint it.
Yeah,
You know what? Because no one would know.
Yeah, his original one was like sort of brown and stuff,
Mission,
orange,
full bits.
bluey.
Yeah.
This
Second
guy's like,
shape.
check on Beskar, bitch.
So I'm
Yeah,
Chrome,
I'm Chrome, motherfucker.
Chrome Dome.
It's true because when you see the Mandalorian,
Because he's Captain Phasma's father.
they're all
Spoiler.
kind of like wearing flat matted colours, paints, all these different things. And he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna shine.
I'm sure.
But is it supposed to be that they're, yeah, exactly, they're not all wearing Beskar?
Yeah.
Because obviously a big point they make is like,
Beskar that you're like you can't paint Beskar because it's a shame.
Yeah.
Or is it the fact that
But
it's
then-
just literally like I haven't gone around to do it?
yeah, surely that can't be true because then it's like all you would ever see is shiny Mandalorians back in the day.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bo-Katan comes save Baby Yoda and Mandalorian,
Yeah.
and it's pretty fucking awesome.
When her other bodyguard,
Her
does she have a
crew
name?
dem.
She's the WWE.
Yeah,
wrestler.
Sasha, whatever. Yeah,
There's
I
that
can't remember the character names.
great little bit where she has the jetpack and she spin kicks one of the Mcquarries. It's very little, it's very quick, but just that little movement just looks so cool. And it was great to see how different elements of
Yeah.
their armor is put into combat.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's the fact that they're utilizing their equipment.
their skills.
You're seeing it.
Yeah, there's definitely a skill set to fighting in that kind of armor with a jetpack and stuff.
Yeah.
And they're sort of they're showing that in this, which is very cool.
Yeah.
And again, that visual when they get away from the ship and it's just the sunset, Mando is back on the shore after these guys have shown. No.
Yeah.
They show up.
They rescue him,
Yeah.
and then the leader takes
Off a helmet. That's
yeah,
it.
and he's like,
It's like,
you're
I
not
wasn't
real.
sure. That's where I stumbled. I thought that
And it's like,
happened
what?
in the bar, but that's the marshal who does it in the bar. So yeah, a lot of Mandos taking their helmets off and they're constantly throwing them off track.
Season 2.
Yeah. Is it
But
building
the
up? Maybe
first
it's
one wasn't a
taking his
real
helmet off?
Mandalorian.
No.
Yeah.
But the second ones were revealing the fact that it's like he is actually a part of a more culty element of the Mandalorians, which is the Watch, i.e. the Death Watch, which
is
was who saved him, obviously, in the original first season.
Yeah.
And it turns out, yeah, Bo-Katan was obviously a part of the
it.
Death Watch.
But then at some point they've separated, which I'm guessing would be a hark back to the final season of Clone Wars that they've released recently, where there is civil war on Mandalore, and they separate from. Spoiler: Darth Maul is there,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah,
crazy.
and
He's crazy.
rules
Yeah,
them.
he rules them.
Yeah.
He's come in. He's split the Mandalorians, and then you have the more cultist, zealous type, and then the Watch sort of disintegrate.
They've gone back to the
mixed match of
traditional
traditional-
ways of being like, yeah, you gotta stick together. This is the way. Wear your helmets.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone see you. Sort of way of it.
Yeah, it's a mythologicalization of the Mandalorian.
Bo-Katan's psychics are Cosca Reeves, which is Sacha, and Axe Woves, which is
Woves
the
is the
guy,
guy.
the British guy, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Once I heard him, like his accent, I was like, oh, I like that guy.
Straight away.
He's in Agents of Shield. Not that I watched that, but again, he's got that experience of,
Action.
being action and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just look great. They worked so well as a team. Again,
Unit, yeah. It's that showing of like, this is what
pack
Unity.
mentality.
for these guys who are trained. Because
Yeah.
we're so used to seeing Mandalorian. He's cool.
Yeah.
He is good. But it's like, it shows you how he's not as skilled.
Yeah.
He's more.
I mean, I feel like they pretty much do it dead on, where it's like they're going in, they're doing their whole like hit squad thing and like doing all that stuff, and then they get backed into that corner a little bit, and it's like, oh, what are we gonna do? And Mandalorian Din Djarin is just like, leave it to me, and he just like grabs his bombs and he just runs, and he's like getting shot to shit, and he's like, it's fine, my armor takes, and then he just throws the bombs at them.
I also liked in that scene, you see, oh god, I can't remember the name of the blaster. I want to see DL-44, but that's Han Solo's pistol, I believe.
Yeah, I think so. DL-44, yeah.
But the machine gun variant, I'm going to go just say, you get to see that actually get shot.
Okay, yeah, so we're getting to the point where they are after the Imperial transport ship.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got messed up. Just so people know, we're in the Imperial transport ship where the Mandalorians agreed to help
because
Watch.
basically
where they're
in
showing
return
more-
of them helping him find
A Jedi.
for Baby Yoda and possibly other Mandalorians, he has to help them take down this Imperial ship, which again, I think you originally see in Phantom Menace. It's just a ship. Like, I thought it was a new ship design, but it's a ship you originally see just passing by in the back of Phantom Menace when they're on Tatooine.
I didn't know that.
Like
And then-
blockade.
Yeah, blockade
And then
sort of thing,
I
definitely.
think they reuse it again in the Rebels.
Yes.
So I was like, but yeah, so I was like, Rebels used it from Phantom Menace, and now it's being used again. And that shit was awesome.
Yeah,
like,
it's slowly fleshing out.
exactly,
the
it looks
background.
sick.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he's got to take that down as like the whole skeleton crew.
which is
and
where-
that sequence of them all in their jetpacks just flying after is awesome,
boarding,
taking it down. I also like that they've now introduced like to get into doors that people have their own like arm. Yeah, exactly, because it's like droids come in, they open up a part of their body and they like switch it all around. It's like, oh, it opens up, and now it's like, yeah, you can just get your own one and just sort of jam it in and twist it around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hacking
but yeah, that
device.
whole like fighting through that ship was just awesome. I think it's been the best we've seen so far.
Yeah. Yeah, it had some good action. I also like the fact that they're just like, the stormtroopers are shit scared of these guys because they're like, fuck, they keep doing this.
It's only 4 of them.
They're coming through the ship and they're taking us down. They're like, you know what? We'll trap them in these doors and we'll close it. And it's like, cool, we've trapped them in the control center.
The cargo
Sorry,
bay release.
where? The cargo control? Yeah.
Shot out.
Just get blown out. And it's that sort of environmental use of
The surroundings.
surroundings to add to the combat and choreography of fights, which I think is great with this series.
And then they go to get the cargo.
Yeah, and like you were saying, the stormtroopers, you actually see them using different armaments instead of the
E11.
E11 blaster. They used
So I know the
the
E11, the DLT-19. See, I know it had DL in it.
which
Yeah.
we
I
see
also
it
like-
originally in A New Hope with the Sand Troopers.
Yeah.
They're the one they got the big guns slung over it.
Yeah.
And again, they've appeared before.
Yeah.
And but then just never fired. So
Yeah,
it was
that's
cool.
the thing. Anytime you get a close-up shot of a stormtrooper, it's normally the 11 blaster. Or in the case of on Hoth, they've got the massive laser cannons
the
to
ion
attack.
cannon sort of mobility. Ion
So it's a nice fleshing out of being like, these weapons exist. Yeah.
because this is like rapid
Talk
fire,
about
isn't this?
it,
It's like a heavy machine gun, like an MG50.
Yeah.
But the Star Wars MG42.
Yeah.
I'm terrible. You're the one who knows the weapons.
Design of the MG38, which is the pre.
I also like that Bo-Katan, when she is in the like cargo bay talking to like the head guys about, who's like, oh yeah, we're gonna come up. She's like, yeah, I'm coming up in a minute. Put some tea on. And it's like, that's a callback to, I think, in the Clone Wars, where Pre-Vizsla, is that the head guy for like sort of creates the Death Watch sort of thing back to the traditional ways.
Yeah.
He's like,
Who was voiced by Jon Favreau?
yeah, who's voiced by Jon Favreau,
So again,
who apparently Heavy,
brilliant.
who is in the Jon Favreau voices, is also a Vizsla descendant apparently. But yeah, so tea is a Mandalorian culture thing. So it's like
And also
cool
very
that they've
British.
So pretty much Mandalorian.
British. Yeah,
makes sense. A lot of imperialism.
straight up, just there.
But it's just nice that again Dave Filoni's little touches of throwing
But does that
back in.
America, they dumped our tea out.
Yeah, and obviously that's the episode where, again, build up. You realise, I guess it should have been obvious, that Bo-Katan is trying to go after Moff Gideon to get the Darksaber back. Because, that was cool at the end of the series. You're like, oh, Darksaber. And now it all makes sense and ties in together. And it's like, she's trying to get the
because
Darksaber.
she is the last of the Mandalorian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She wants to be the
royalty.
bring Mandalorian back together. And
it all harks back to the Clone Wars series and the Rebels. And it's just great to see those animated series now being brought into live action. It's all becoming official lore and canon for the universe. It's great. It's exciting for me because I've been such a fan and I've watched those series so many times.
yeah, I definitely need to catch up.
when this all happened.
Can't be a true Star Wars fan until
finish off Rebels.
Yeah, you guys are
But
slacking.
at the same time, I feel like I kind of got to go back to the very beginning.
Yeah,
and
you got to
start
see all the way
again.
through
It's-
because it all ties in. All these little characters and moments, and you see them build up throughout the series. And then, I'm hoping there'll be more. We know there's going to be more.
And then obviously, she reveals she's like, the
She knows,
Jedi go to planet Corvus to meet Ahsoka Tano. And it's like, big reveal.
But what's great, last season of Clone Wars, Ahsoka's still a very young woman. So, and that's the
But
last
no
time
longer a
we know
Jedi.
that she interacts with Bo-Katan. So it's been many years since then. So
Many.
I'm really interested to see if they'll ever expand on like how they've stayed in contact, or if there's going to be a
Well, I
spin-off
guess I
series
don't know, like,
where they're going to flesh out that kind of.
because obviously
story.
there's Sabine Wren who knows. So it's like, will that then connect? Because obviously there were a lot of theories before that Sasha the wrestler was going to be Sabine Wren. And then obviously she's this new character, Cuska Reeves.
Yeah,
But yeah,
it's very exciting
Will we
times.
get characters
it
from
is
the
exciting
Rebels
times.
series
It does
into
make
this?
me like, I've
You
been
have to
meaning
watch
to
it.
catch
You have
up,
to watch it.
but now it's like, you definitely have
'cause
to.
You'll get it. You'll understand. I understand. Other people who don't, because I've got friends who've watched it and they're like, "Oh, this is great," but I don't understand why this character's so important. It's like, I get it.
At the same time, I would say like the good thing is that you don't need to know.
No,
Obviously,
it's been handled in such a way that these characters do get introduced, and they're already taking on a life of their own. But it's great to have
like
that backstory
I'd still have the outlier knowledge, so I sort of know the majority anyway, so I can piece it together. But I've been watching it with people, our parents, who don't know anything about Star Wars and the lore, and they're having no problem sort of like
getting into it.
exactly, getting into it, understanding it. So it's like it's exactly it's nice that you can watch it and not have to know
have them asking questions as to who and what's going on. And what amused me was you said that you've been watching it with them, and that he got upset and knew straight away that the other Mandalorians, Marshall, wasn't a Mando because he took his helmet off straight away. So it's great.
Which turns out was wrong anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's great that people are getting on board with that sort of knowledge and the lore behind those characters already without knowing anything else to the Star Wars universe. And then
So, fourth episode, you're like,
the siege.
you're gonna go see Ahsoka Tano, but no, you gotta stop off and see your friends.
Pit stop, yeah.
Because those fishermen can't make a ship.
Goddamn Monk.
That was also hilarious seeing, like, just
they
it's all.
stringed it together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually,
They're everywhere.
the episode 4, The Siege. One of my favorite openings where they're just on the ship and like Baby Yoda's just inside wherever like vent,
good.
and it's just like the wires through the wire, red and blue, and it's
Yeah,
Don't let them touch.
that's really.
Will blow up.
you damn 50-year-old baby.
Yeah. You should know better by now.
It's so adorable though. Like the effects for Baby Yoda are fantastic.
Just sells it,
The
yeah.
mix of practical.
Oh yeah, 100%.
It's little squeaks.
Apparently, it cost like $4 million or something.
My God.
That's an expensive puppet.
One day,
It's
One day.
One day. We settled with our little toy.
we're gonna start a crowdfund campaign. If you could donate money, so we can get ourselves a real number one geek
Make us get a
podcast.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah. So they go, after that, he's trying to fix the ship. They go back to Navarro, the planet that is featured well within the first season. And you go back and you see Cara Dune is the marshal of there now. And
she has
Navarro.
that's a
and
great
she's
little
been,
start to the episode where she just kicks ass.
exactly.
I love
I was like, I'm strongly attracted to you right now. That was
Yeah, man,
badass.
she's fit.
It was so cool. And again, another
Cara Dune
classic Star
waifu.
Wars
Yeah.
alien. It's the guys with the sort of ballsack mouth.
This is why.
You know what I know?
Yeah.
That's right.
That's
But the ones from A New Hope, they were like, oh, my friend doesn't like
My friend
you.
doesn't like you. I don't like you
Yeah,
either.
it was cool to see them. And that there's more of them, and obviously these guys.
There wasn't just one.
There wasn't just one. There was a group, and they obviously a nasty bunch because they've been rubbing. The marshals had to come down on her.
Gotta sort him out.
Yeah, that was
Grief. Carl Weathers.
cool. Carl Weathers, who
Grief Cargo or something.
direct Carl Weathers, who's Grief Karga, who directed this episode.
Oh, he did.
Yeah. Which I thought was
missed
quite
that.
amusing because I didn't know that
That's
until
why
the
he put
end.
himself
Which is
into it
why
more.
he's in it a lot more and has some really good moments.
He just steps in front of the camera every time. He's like, yeah.
Yeah. He's like, give me the baby.
I like it when he meets Mandalorian again. And he like high five and he's like, "You son of a bitch."
yeah. What's the problem?
That was a nice
You're
little
flying in
reference.
space too much.
Son of a
You
bitch.
son of a bitch.
Love it.
But yeah. Anyway, I thought that was again another strong episode because then they arrive. You see the area's sort of been
Cleaned up.
exactly
It's
cleaned
they've
back
taken
up.
hold of the town. They're making it theirs again. The
Exactly.
Imperial forces have withdrawn. There's a statue
Except for one little
of IG-11.
in the
exactly in the background.
So
That was a
cool.
nice little.
I wonder whether they just picked up the parts left over from him and
just put it
assembled him
together.
there.
I mean, he was melted in lava and then exploded,
pretty
so be pretty hard to do. But
I mean, you could do it. Some of those bits are going to be around.
Yeah.
anyway, Grief sets his best guys on fixing Mando's ship to do a proper job.
Well, they just disappear off
Once,
on the side
once
mission.
they go off,
Conveniently,
they drop.
just nearby.
Yeah, just right
Turn
there,
around,
out
go,
the front.
I'll send my best guys on it.
Hey, you
Two
two.
look good enough.
Number one Geek World
I'll tell
podcast.
you.
So my number one
He
mechanic.
only has two guys. That's why. But yeah, and then they drop Baby Yoda at school.
Yeah.
Which has got a C-3PO-esque leading a school of a class of kids, which
It's like all
was
humans.
very cute. All humans.
Yeah, all humans. That
Oh, baby,
disappointed me.
Yeah.
Felt like you could at least put one or two other aliens in there. But I mean, maybe it was the fact that they were shooting with kids
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
the kids didn't
true.
Don't have that makeup on.
But you can have
CG.
just do what you always do with aliens. Just get
puppets.
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 Yeah. Another 4 million on a
Adults.
Like a giant.
Just
ant
get
from
smaller
previous
adults
Yeah.
to.
puppet.
dress up and wear it.
Yeah. That's how we do it in all the other.
Or I mean, with kids, you can just paint it on. You don't have to do the full.
Yeah,
You do
like a
you do
dark
like
dress.
you do the Twi'lek sort of just slap on some big ears. You don't have to go full makeup.
No.
Do the Ahsoka Tano, just paint them up orange.
Yeah.
Done.
White patterns and bits.
No. And then they go to
Yeah,
the...
and then Baby Yoda continues his evil streak of stealing.
stealing from a candy from a child.
Hey,
Which is hilarious.
No,
It was the same-
he
It
had
was
the
great.
option
He's
to
just
be
like so
have a
unsure.
blue
You
macaroon.
don't
just here,
deny
have one.
Baby Yoda.
Yeah, don't lie. He's going to get his way
Child.
regardless, it seems. Innocent? I think not.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a Jedi.
It's already off to a bad
This
start.
point is heading down a dark route.
Grey Jedi like
Biscuits.
Ahsoka Tano.
No, this is much more evil.
But yeah, and then obviously they want to go blow up the last remaining Empire base there.
which is abandoned, but we soon find out
It's only run by a skeleton crew.
It's run by a skeleton crew.
So they think also it's Return of the Mithril guy, the blue guy from the
Yeah.
first episode.
Yeah. I'm still not entirely a fan.
Not my
No,
favorite guy,
too
but it's
Star
nice that they sort of
too Star
very Star
Trek-y.
Trekky.
I'm pretty sure there is an alien race in Star Trek which looks exactly the same.
I like that he sort of like pisses himself from the neck though.
Yeah.
It's like
So,
he sees Mandalor.
But yeah, I liked with that base when they're carrying in. It's got a very sort of Sid Mead conceptual design. I always
Yeah.
expect it to be like a ship.
Well, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, are they trying to like, you know, episode 9
Yeah.
level of like this ship is buried underground.
yeah, I wonder if the base actually, if revisiting it, if it looks similar to the one that's shown in Rogue One. That'd be quite cool if they tied it over. I'm gonna have to look. But yeah, they follow
Whether
the
it's
same
like a
sort of blueprint of this sort of
design.
scout outpost.
But yeah, when they arrive, they're taking out some stormtroopers. You see the little stormtrooper carrier that they first sort of
Another name for this.
brought back.
I have noted it down. Trexler Marauder.
The Trexler, originally a toy that was
Yeah.
like it never appeared in anything, and they just made a toy for it, which
Yeah.
is pretty cool. And then
It came,
again
Star Wars
came
Rebels,
into Rebels, and
and
now.
now it's a live action creation.
Yeah.
So it's such rich details, the texture of the universe. I want to taste him, Yabba.
Oh, still one
I
of
love
my favourite
Diego
interview
Luna.
bits.
Cassian Andor. I want Cassian Andor to taste Yabba.
Maybe that'll happen in his spin-off series.
That's what I want. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I want this series just to be Diego Luna's Cassian Andor
Going to
trying to eat Yabba.
trying to eat.
Just taste him. Just
I don't
taste him
think
a
he
little bit.
ever was like, oh, I want to taste Jabba. I think he just wants to touch it.
Just want to touch it,
feel
maybe
Jabba.
lick it a little
I
bit.
fairly said he was like, what does
Just, if you haven't
What
seen
does he
it, please
taste
go
like?
on YouTube, check out that interview about how, I'm pretty sure it's multiple times.
Yeah,
he
Diego
says how
Luna
much he wants
talking about
to
Yabba the Hutt.
touch
Jabba the
Jabba the
Hutt.
Hutt.
Yeah, anyway, so then they're going through the Imperial base doing typical sabotagey things.
Not
Nice little
sabotage.
touch where, you know,
Yeah.
that sort of old school Obi-Wan Kenobi
Out onto the platform.
skirt around.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
I like
poor
the-
planning.
there's
That's
no railing.
terrible
I love
design.
that
Why
they
would
even say there's no railing.
I don't want to do this. There's no railing. This is
Just like
insane.
point
Yeah.
out how crazy an idea that.
I mean, more crazy is the fact that he chose to skirt round backwards.
Yeah.
And then turn around.
which is very, once again, reference to Obi-Wan and how he sort of does it.
But I would, yeah, I'd be hugging,
It's just-
I'd be facing the whole way.
I think Obi-Wan just goes all the way around face forward to the...
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. Who knows?
Revisit.
Yeah,
Maybe
revisit.
that's
In my mind,
something we
I
need to
see it
fact check.
as,
Yeah. Shuts down the lava
So
flow.
luckily they're
Force
already on a lava planet, which, you know, makes destroying things a lot easier when you just
Shut that off.
temperature regulations, just turn that down
Turn that barrier.
and run away.
Yeah. I almost expected a sort of Darth Vader reference coming in when that episode, because obviously Mustafar.
Yeah, sort of
Yeah,
Mustafarian.
How
Mustafar.
Darth Vader would have like his castle in the lava
Surrounded by
planet.
lava. Yeah.
I thought they might be like, oh, here's a little meditation chamber in the background. But
Well, they
Is it-
don't have
Well,
meditation
no, they don't,
chambers,
do they?
but big reveal, they have clone chambers. Little
Well,
Bacta
are they
tanks.
clones? I don't know.
I mean, I feel like that's got to be what...
yeah,
I felt they were human test subjects where they were trying to inject
maybe.
I don't know.
a blood transfusion.
I just
I
assume...
swear
I think it's
there's even a bit of
cloning,
dialogue
because
where they
they've
talk about it.
I mean, yeah, I feel like cloning is like the big end game because, you know, in the first season and the Doctor who appears again in this episode, he's wearing a Kaminoan patch.
Yeah.
You know, obviously they're the cloners and all that stuff. And then, you know, you have the build up with Boba Fett and then they want the baby. They talk about using his blood, not having enough
Yeah.
to sort of
acid.
recreate.
But
So
because-
they're talking about the M count.
Yeah, I was going to say, they mentioned the M
to
count,
do
which
with
is
the idea of trying
definitely
to infuse the Force with
yeah.
Yeah. Into
unforced
some
power
stormtroopers.
people, Or maybe they're trying to create better Force clones or something.
Force wielders, yeah.
Which then it's like, is this
Gonna lead
my
into-
point where it's like, are they trying to clean up what happened in the sequels and be like,
yeah, they've been
okay,
doing this the whole
episode 9, I guess we can make it cool by being like, yeah, they were originally trying to make... Because the thing is, you see that
lead
like
into
dead
Snoke.
body and it's like, it looked a bit like a Snoke
Yeah.
prototype to me because, it's morph, bald, little naked white
That
man.
would be crazy if they did bring that, just tie that into the whole fact that Rise of Skywalker. Snoke was a clone this whole time. That they're just setting that seed up in this.
I mean, Snoke was a clone.
Well, yeah.
In Rise of Skywalker,
Okay,
they
yeah.
go to a planet
to
with
show-
giant vats of
yeah,
I was
but
the
to show
voice
that
in your
they've been
head,
doing this. They had a plan from as soon as the Empire fell.
Yeah.
They had a plan.
I mean,
of trying to
make
create
it
this sort of
better.
clone.
I guess
The thing is,
Star Killer, it will sort of
always get better,
help with
but
that
I
things
don't
like
think it
Force
will fix
Unleashed.
It will just make, obviously, Mandalorian stuff would be awesome because you'd be like, oh, cool, there's this thing going on. But it's always going to.
I mean, there's a lot of legacy stuff with like cloning Force
Yeah.
clones. You know, this
whole
Force
comics.
Unleashed 2,
Looking
Star Killer's a clone in that one, isn't he? Because he dies in the first one. Spoiler.
But if you haven't played that game already, where have you been? Yeah.
It's like 15 years old or something.
Yeah. Such a good series.
I just assumed they were clones. It's interesting that
Yeah,
you
my
got
takeaway from that was that they're like
experiments.
human test subjects where they're trying to infuse M count blood into it.
I mean, I think maybe it's a mix of both, where they are trying to,
Yeah.
with the human test subjects, human stormtroopers or whatever.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting that episode to go that way at all.
No,
So that was
it-
really.
No, I thought this
that
was
a
again
nice
another
little-
sort of filler, action-y episode where it was
It was a
like,
filler episode,
just
but
before we reach, you know, what everyone wants to see, which is Ahsoka
I know.
Tano.
Which is, I can't
Let's
wait,
just
'cause I was
drop off and be like,
expecting
oh,
that.
here's your old friends from the
let's just
first
delay
season.
that payoff that little bit longer. Like, damn you, Filoni!
Also, Cole Weathers' beard is fully white now. We didn't mention that. That really stood out to me.
Yeah. But I feel like they did well enough with tagging it on to what is clearly going to be the overarching story for the series.
Yeah, it's really it's building that
Gideon's
intrigue.
got some
plan on.
big
Yeah, because
plan.
Because now, there's so many
someone
more
else
elements that are coming
possibly.
together, especially again with the Bo-Katan thing coming in. Like, you've got Ahsoka Tano now. So it's all these elements coming in where it's like the Empire, are they trying to clone, they're trying to create something big that obviously that was the original thing. That's why they wanted Baby Yoda. Now you've got Bo-Katan coming after Moff Gideon for the Darksaber.
Moff Gideon's-
Now you've got Ahsoka Tano and Yoda, Baby Yoda,
Yoda
and like,
coming in, yeah.
are we going to finally learn the species name? Is she just going to see it and be like, oh, that's a little Yodarian?
give me your dairy.
Very good.
That work. I kind of
Because that's the one great mystery.
You heard it here first.
Yoda and Yaddle have never been the only
Trademarked.
species that aren't
This is
named.
going to pay us.
yeah.
So it's like, they're just going to immediately be like, oh yeah, it's a Yodarian like Master Yoda and Master Yaddle. Is Yaddle going to return? That's the
Oh, I'd
theories.
like that.
Because Yaddle just disappears.
Yeah, she's in that.
But there's no like.
Phantom Menace and then never seen again.
Yeah, I think she's in the Clone Wars briefly. But yeah, there is no like death scene or anything to her. She does just disappear. It's pretty open-ended, obviously. They have long lifespans. She looked fairly young in the prequels because she still has like
completely.
long brown hair. So
And
maybe she's only 500.
Jedi still survived the purge of Order 66. They all went into hiding. Not all of
Exactly.
them. Obviously, some did get killed. But I'm
We watched
hoping.
it.
And it's like a Tana survived, etc. I'm hoping, again, at some point, we're going to start seeing more Jedi brought out of the shadows. And
Some of the sequels didn't do again.
Yeah. They're
Fuck
definitely
you,
around.
sequels.
Yeah, it makes
And
no
Luke
sense.
would have had a new Jedi Academy by now. Like, there
Nah.
would be more Jedi.
He did do it, but then, he
He threw it all out the window
And there
as
was
soon
no
as
one-
he turned
no
He
on
was
the
a terrible teacher, and then Ben killed and / turned all of the others against him.
And then the Jedi
But those weren't the
dissolved
Knights of
once
Ren.
again, but
They
that's-
left
yeah.
to just be evil on their own,
Yeah,
apparently,
but
or
they're not-
something.
Yeah. Ren left with 12 students, but you only see Ren and Knights of Ren aren't 12, and they don't
those
fight
Knights
with the
of Ren-
Force.
And they're also not
Yeah.
from the academy.
Yeah.
They
Anymore.
were following this other guy
Called Ren.
called Ren.
Ah.
And
It's
just terrible.
fuck you, Disney.
It's so
and
disappointing.
he beat him and took the helmet and mantle, and now he's the leader, but they turn on him in
Ah.
the hat
Because they're true to
Sidious
Emperor
goes,
Palpatine.
hey, you're my people now. Like, what the fuck?
Oh no.
They were the Knights of Palpatine all along.
Ah, so bad. It's just so disappointing. But with Moff Gideon's end scene sign off, there's that long corridor, and it looks like I couldn't quite clearly see.
Yeah, it's hard.
It looks like they are armored.
Because we were like,
soldiers
are they
either side.
Death Troopers
That's what I
at
thought,
first?
but they-
But
I
then
think
there was
the
a lot of
helmet
like
looks
wiring
slightly
and stuff.
different.
They looked kind of like TIE pilots.
Yeah.
But it was like, they're definitely not TIE pilots. So yeah, I think
it's
I think that's obviously the sort of like
This is
building
the build up of the
super
new
soldiers.
Shadow
the,
Troopers.
yeah, the
Yeah,
sort of
oh my God, big shadow
the
troopers,
force sensitive,
Yeah,
slight ability, maybe
Yeah.
powerful
Because the thing is,
troopers.
it's like the Red Guard from the original trilogy. It was meant to be that they force sensitive.
Yeah, yeah.
Because they were meant to be these elite
Canonically,
soldiers
yeah.
designed to protect Palpatine. And how else are you going to do it with
force
powers?
sensitive
You gotta have force
Imperial
sensitive.
Guards.
Not enough to become a threat to him, but enough. So maybe these are those clones or
Yeah.
super soldiers empowered by the M
Oh my
count.
god, that'd be so cool.
You know?
If they come
Yeah.
out, I'm just my mind's reeling now because it's being introduced as Ahsoka Tano, and then there's a massive showdown with these force sensitive soldiers. We might
I mean,
actually see this
I think that's the
big
build up.
battle off.
Yeah.
And then Boba Fett arrives and he kills them.
He's like, you got the face of my dad. Boom, boom.
You're not my daddy.
You know what this?
I've already said problem with Jedi.
Bring back
You
daddy's
stole daddy's.
armor.
You stole daddy's helmet.
Yeah.
That's a little Chappie reference. Even though he's not South African, he's
Yeah.
Kiwi.
He's Kiwi. We're sorry. We're sorry.
Gotta do more
bad
Korg-esque quotes. Taco, what's he?
Corkies.
I got
My name is Boba. I tried to take down the Empire, but my leaflets didn't make it out.
I mean, I got in by Sarlacc, and you've been spat out, and I lost my armor.
Now I'm fighting Noob Master 69 online. Fuck you.
Yeah, and your order 66.
Oh, good stuff.
Love Taco TV.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that.
What if he did a Star Wars episode?
He did this.
Yeah, he directed, I think, the finale of last. He also voiced IG-11, if you didn't realise.
I've just thought about
I want him to do a movie.
because he directs the episode with the Scout Troopers in, and that's a very funny interaction between them, and it shows them not being able to shoot. Scout Troopers in this episode were cool.
Yeah, well, except for when they first come down the thing
I thought that
and
was
two of them
quite fun.
crash into
Yes.
each other and
But
like just.
You're going to lose control. That is
Yeah.
a sheer drop.
I think he did it on purpose because he was like, I know I can roll out this safely because of my armor,
Yeah.
and I'm just not going to
Fuck this
waste
guy.
time getting fucking killed
Yeah.
chasing them.
Because that was insane. Just seeing them drive the
Yeah, no, that
drop
was cool.
off and then
That was
go
yeah,
through
there was
the
good
rocks. It's like,
action,
oh my
good
God, they're
chase
badass.
sequence there. It was cool to see them, and again, I kind of liked that the focus wasn't massively on Din Djarin and the child this episode. It was a lot
It
of
was the side
Kara and
characters,
Grief,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
you got to see them fighting off the TIE fighters and the Scout
Yeah, and
Troopers.
obviously
I was pretty. I liked when the Scout Trooper was on top of it, and it was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, let's go throw the bomb," and he's like, "Where are they?" And he turns around. It's like I also like the the screens they have,
Yeah.
the obvious homage to the
Targeting.
original,
Yeah.
Computers. yeah.
but still a bit more modern touch.
Yeah, it's just wonderful.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Good
So many
episode.
good designs in there.
Yeah.
And also the way the Mandalorian comes in with his ship to take out the TIE
Oh,
fighters.
yeah.
how have we missed that as well? Yeah, again.
Shot and then he pulls that maneuver. It's like,
Oh yeah,
And
that's
it's a
it.
solid
where you see his
air
ship
brakes
is
and
Yeah.
turn and then like
his ship has actually been
Fixed up.
fixed
up.
It's
Yeah.
so
by
cool.
professionals.
Because again, it's not a huge spectacle. It's quite intimate and tight with the fighting. It looks cool. It looks great.
Yeah.
And it just really
Also,
works.
none of your main characters were like screaming their heads off
Yeah.
anytime they shot and killed.
Although we, although we have
That's one hell of a
little
fight.
Yoda, baby Yoda in the background.
Oh
with
yeah,
his hands
that's
in
it.
the air.
But he's just enjoying the ride. Again, that's
It's
love
like
it.
a roller coaster ride for him.
Love it.
and then he throws up.
Brilliant.
Yeah. It's pure blue.
And then he chooses, and then Mando's more
And he's
dad
like,
character,
he
isn't
just uses his cape to like wipe it off, and
wipes
he's
off
like,
instead
all
of
right.
going for a couple of drinks with his mates.
Yeah. So now, who knows what's going to happen next?
Yeah, I just really hope the next episode does introduce Ahsoka Tano, because I can't wait to see what Rosario Dawson's
Rosario Dawson, yeah.
Dawson's going to look like as Ahsoka
She's
Tano,
going to look good as hell, I
it's gonna
think.
be so
Good as
cool.
hell.
and just to see how she interacts and that
It would be
character's
cool.
great.
It's gonna be
Live
awesome.
Action.
It's going to be awesome.
Because obviously we've seen that race before
Yeah.
in the prequels, but it's
And then when she comes back with Bo-Katan, and then when they're fighting Moff Gideon, it's
Yeah.
all going to be
Just
that.
interested to see like an actual Jedi Master fighting, because that's something that that's again what the prequels are great for. To a certain extent, you see Jedi in their prime fighting. And then you don't have that really in the original trilogy because Luke's learning, and obviously they were kind of stunted with technology back then. And then the sequels just
fucked it all up.
Yeah, with Rey, who's just naturally good. No
The
training.
Last
And
Jedi.
Luke, who is
It's
a
like I thought that was
just
30 years ago, wasn't it? The Return of the Jedi. Well, yeah,
doesn't-
Last Jedi again.
doesn't show off his skill set at all. So Ahsoka, seeing her fight, hopefully, is
I
gonna be
mean,
like, what?
the way they've done, the Siege or the Heiress episode with the Mandalorians fighting and Bo-Katan, like, their fighting is down.
Something
Yeah,
amazing.
they've got,
Yeah.
and like, I'm like, will this be resolved entirely in this season, or is this setting up
For a bigger season,
season 3
Three,
thing
I
where
hope
it's
so.
like you've got all the elements coming together?
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So definitely excited for the next four episodes.
Yeah, we'll come back. We'll discuss.
Yeah, end of the
season of the next 4 episodes.
So we hope you join us again. In
Overall opinion, first 4
I'm
episodes.
loving it. Like, I haven't been disappointed by a single episode yet. It's much better than first season, obviously, because they're evolving and learning from.
They don't have to build anything.
And so, they don't have to build anything. And even with filler episodes, I feel like they're just more fulfilling.
But they're bringing out old concepts and stuff, and just that Star Wars goodness.
So I'm really loving it.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Tusken Raiders has been great. Jar Wars always. The fact that they're bringing Rebels and Clone Wars animated series characters into live action. Obviously, Rogue One, as we did do that.
Mm-hmm.
But just to see more of those characters being brought to life is awesome for me, and it's just so exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see where it goes.
Shout out to that frog lady. Didn't mention it, but that was a great little design. I really appreciate that. It looks sick.
Backpack.
And then when she meets her husband, the little backpack with the eggs. I'm loving it. It's really keeping it going. It's not to be whatever, but it's saving Star Wars for me.
Star Wars is alive.
Yeah, exactly. Sequels were very disappointing for me. No offense, you worked on episode 9, but we all understand and we have our own
Best one of
thing.
the trilogy, though. Just saying.
Enjoyable, but yeah, they've been a letdown, and this sort of is there to prove that it still works. It's still going. There's something there to hold on to.
You can do Star Wars still, and not that this was all fuck up that they should have never brought Star Wars back. Star Wars works
in the right hands.
You need to do it right.
Which again is what the Clone Wars animated series did for the prequels. The prequels came out, people were like, don't really like it. Clone Wars anime series built up the universe a bit more, kind of as an apology letter to the fans. Works, and I feel the Mandalorian's doing the same thing. We got strong footage.
I don't think there's any saving the sequels. I don't think people are going to come back in 10, 15 years and now be like, actually, they weren't that bad, like is happening with the prequels now.
I think you're missing, they're missing the one big core concept for it, which was an overarching story and someone to control that, which in the case for prequels was very much George Lucas getting on hands with it, which in some cases was a detriment to it, but
he was surrounded by yes men in that.
Yeah, but it also still helped create a story that lasted over all of it. And
as Kanye West said, not to mention Kanye West, but he was on Joe Rogan and he came in. Not to name drop, but he was on good friend Joe Rogan's podcast, and he mentioned, he was like, he loves the prequels, but he hates the sequels. The sequels are just company, shell, lifeless money grabs. Whereas although the prequels, they have their problems, it was made by someone who had a vision and a love and a passion, who's just maybe let go. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But yeah.
Shout out to Kanye. You got it right, bro.
And shout out to www.geekvault.co.uk, the sponsor for our podcast. Us. Easy, convenient. You can find Star Wars.
You would come to us.
Exactly. You can find Star Wars geeky goods, gears. We got t-shirts. We got Funko figures, bike series, all that good shit.
Yeah.
And
it's
good Star Wars gift. And right now it's almost Christmas, so get yourself a treat. Or a friend. Or a loved one.
20% off. Use the code GEEK20.
GEEK20. For 20% off at Geekbot Star. This has been Alex.
I'm Scott.
I'm Bradley.
Signing off. Roger.
Bye.